Maybe your menstruation comes when you're in the school compound. They came out with a program to help girls who cannot afford to get the sanitary towels. You can go to the senior woman, you can access maybe 2 boxes or 3 boxes that can help you survive within the days that you're going to pass through.
Welcome one more time to your lovely and wonderful program here on Sankofa. If you are anywhere in the world and you are not on this station, phone your friends, phone your relatives everywhere else. That is going down here on Sankofa. We are discussing real issues with real people, having a conversation around methods of the past, dealing with problems of the present as we are focusing into the future. If there is any problem that we are facing in our days, presently in our days, is the issue of women's health. Colonialism has not done justice to our women. We know many of our women right now. Birth control is an issue that was actually discussed at the United Nations, discussed at Africa Union, and every government around the world is talking about birth control, reducing the population of the world. And when they are doing this, various methods are being used in terms of managing the populations of the world. Over and above that, our women have been put under gruesome exercises, having things stuck into their bodies, loops stuck into their birth canals, ovaries being clipped and etc., injections being pumped into their hands, tablets being swallowed, which has resulted in obesity, complications of birth, irregular periods, period pains. Name many of the health problems that our women are presently facing are actually a result of tampering with their hormones when it comes to childbirth and child delivery and women's health. And some of the highest products selling on the face of the earth are actually women's products. Some of them are plastic, like these bras they use on our women, manufactured with cheap plastic. And that cheap plastic, when they sweat, all that plastic goes back into the system, causing various and multiple types of diseases. Who wants to talk about the types of pads that our women are using when they're in their periods? Are these pads really healthy? They are being sold on the shops, but are they healthy when they contain certain chemicals that the body absorbs into themselves? The underwear that our women are putting on, for example, are these safe things the petticoats that our women are putting on? The fashion issue that our women are putting on, these beautiful glittering clothes that are being sold from China and etc. Do we really understand that actually our clothing affects our health and our diets affect our health? And above everything else today, I want us just to zoom in at a very, very critical level. And I said it the other day, and all you men were excited when I said every man must have 2 wives. The first wife is the land, and the second wife is your wife. So today I want us maybe to move away from politics. I want us to move to the second wife, who is your real wife. So for today, gloves off, I want us to discuss the estate of our women. Our women are not part of the estate. They are the real estate. The real estate. The quality of seeds that we plant and the quality of children that we bring out of this space. How do women maintain their own health? And how can we make sure that our women in the 21st century pick some methods that are in the past, implement them in the present? You don't need to take everything from the Europeans and from China and from America as the gospel. There's some nice things. When our women deliver, what do we do? How do women maintain their periods? How do women maintain their good health? And for me, this subject is of importance because almost 60 to 80% of the women that are looking at me right now in terms of this program, in one way or the other, you are affected, either through contraception or through your period pains or through your ovaries or through your birth issues or through miscarriages and many issues that are surrounding this. So I really want to advise you to say, sit up straight and sit up tight. I got a professional in the house, an old gogo. She's young, but an old gogo Majola, Dr. Mvoko. She's a practicing indigenous medicine specialist who works with the traditional women's health and issues. She has fantastic things to share with us today, ancient things about women and from the traditional perspective. And as we compare these methodologies, I hope at the end of the program, you'll be able to find yourself something to take home. But I can guarantee you, you don't want to miss anything. Don't move even an inch. Stay right here. We'll be back after the break to be talking to Dr. Mvoko as she takes us through women's health. Your program, Sankofa. Your presenter, Maponga J.
Experience the extraordinary.
Feeling is there that you're doing something special.
Have you lost it? Move! Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
Challenge your ordinary.
Why don't you start a dance class?
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
From rural to urban, we bring you local and international sport.
From Cape to Cairo, from Nairobi to Kinshasa. As we stand out amongst the rest. And we are here to inspire you.
From the Horn of Africa to the Equator's indigenous people.
Galaxy Universal Network. Abapenyi bezindaba nezintatheli ezingesabilutho. Bila woga, upendeleo, hatuogopi chochote.
Channel 500 on StarSat. This is Galaxy Universal Network.
Good morning and a warm welcome to Galaxy News. My name is Sanda Nomusaga Kuto and this is Pan-African Morning. Of course, I'm not going alone. I'm going with my co-host, the one and only, the Pan-African woman, Balisa Matunyane. How are you, my darling?
I'm wonderful, Bakai Sudumelang. Yes, welcome to the Pan-African Morning right here on Galaxy Universal Network.
Galaxy Universal Network is a company owned by 5 directors. As I have said, the CEO is led by our able woman, and we are black-owned company. And as such, part of our mission, vision, sacrifice, and choices is to conquer the African continent. By that I mean from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Algeria, Kenya, Tanzania. From Cape to Cairo, my sister. However, part of our plan and our mission is to provoke the mindsets and the hearts of the African people by telling untold stories in an authentic way, in an unbiased way, in a way that has never been told before.
I think the most important thing in life is about growth. From where you were, I always tell young people we must compete with our yesterday. When I got to prison, I had said, okay, right now they have sentenced me to effective 7 years. So what next? What am I going to do with my time? And I remember telling one of my very good friends, close friend, Nathan Marielamunt, I said to him, you know, when I leave this place, I'm going straight to a man that sentenced me. He was taken aback. He couldn't understand why would you go back to a man. Of course, he thought good not him, but wanted to harm this man. I said it's because that man changed my life. So there's something that's called time. When I'm talking to young people, we must always redeem the time. I no longer live in times, but I live in moments because I understand what the freedom means. So because of the wrong decision that I've made one day, I was told in the most hopeless of places, which was a prison. I had to start building all over again.
Well, welcome back. There's no better time to be having this conversation than with our lovely and wonderful guest, Dr. Ugogo Majola, Dr. Mvoko. In ancient times, Togoza Gogo. In ancient times, can you just take us through maybe firstly the issue of our women? Who are our women according to African tradition and culture?
According to African culture, a woman is somebody who I would say is the source of life. She is the key of the home. In our native language, I would say uyinsika yekhaya.
Insika is a foundation.
Is a foundation yekhaya. Insika, not only just the foundation, she's the one that holds the family together. Ngoye or who has she's the glue of the family.
Wow.
So, and a woman is somebody that when their home can be there, but if the home doesn't have a woman, it's no longer it's not a proper home. That
it's
can be. It's just a house.
It's just a house.
Just an empty house. So a woman played that role to be the glue of the home, and also to be the source that everyone can pull from.
Okay.
And she's the one that bears everything. She bears the family, she bears the home, she bears the food, she bears everything. She produces us at the same time. She bears everything, and it's like, you know, a chicken. A chicken always will see how the female is kukugazi, siyafugama city, and covers everything, you know, abantwana baso. So a woman is that person who shields the home, who gives the comfort, who gives the protection to the home, emotionally, spiritually, and likewise.
Wow.
And also what's important is that spiritually, on the other aspect, she's the key person that is aligned and quickly can be able to connect to to the source. Ngoba most of the time she is the source. Ngoba in such a way that when we're building our traditional houses, indlu kagogo has to be there. It's very key.
Wow.
Whereby indlu kagogo la kuthiwa indlu kagogo lana la senzela khona izinto kufanele kukhulunywe nagogo. Ngoba what's important also to understand that women are the ones that will say even when city we're doing our traditional things, we shouldn't leave women behind, because they are the ones that will be able to connect to this, because they give birth to the world.
Everything. Number two, quickly take us through the whole concept of marriage in an African culture. When you are marrying, what happens traditionally?
When you get married traditionally, that's when you connect spirits. Different spirits. The spirits from the male side, the spirits from the female side. They connect together. So traditionally what happens, you find that after those spirits have connected, there's certain rituals that have to happen to give unity, to build both families. And that's why it's important when people when they get married, they don't just go and write a paper somewhere at the court and that's it.
Okay.
You know, you have to go there has certain rituals that have to be done
to
join both of them. And also traditionally what's also important when people get married, you don't just marry anyone just because you feel like you love them. That's why it's important that the consultation with the ancestors to find out the lineage of that person, the lineage of both male and females. When we're coming together, who are we?
Joining ourselves.
Who are we coming from? Where are we coming from? What are our traditions? What is our beliefs? And what is our blood lineage? So that we know that when we're bringing in together these two families, what are we building as a family? What are we building as a new family? So it's critical that people don't just get excited to say, oh, I love this person, I love that person, or even force things when they have to be in relationships or marriages, because what you put in together, it's going to breed and make the next generation. So it's very critical that people, when they put together and they're getting married, they have to also consult with their ancestors, because sometimes, for example, people like us, like traditional healers, they always tell us that siyakhethelwa abantu. In as much that is so true. At the same time, you work along with what the ancestors wish you to do, because they know better. Because another thing is that when people are getting married, I would make an example that when you get married to a house whereby there are witches, you don't go there and try to change things.
They will join you.
You have to join
and the
them.
offspring that is coming from that.
Then the offspring that coming from that.
Come with and
they continue.
Let's move quicker because I really want to get to the meat of the conversation.
Okay.
Come to pregnancy issues.
Yes.
Traditionally speaking, what happens in that space? What sort of care, must be given to pregnant women? Just take us through traditionally. Who says twele? Okay, I love that language. She's carrying herself. Who's twele?
Who's twele?
Yes. And
yes.
when Muntu Nangu says twele, a person is said to be pregnant. Traditionally, what does that mean?
Traditionally, it means that person is at a different level of connectivity because there is a soul that chose to be in that womb. So there's a connectivity of the souls. There's also the spirit, and also there's the blood that comes with it. So there's a covenant already.
Stuff is happening.
Already there's a covenant that has been made between that soul that decides, that chooses to sit in that womb, and the person that's carrying it.
Carrying the womb.
So the
plus
woman,
the one who has sent the seed here. There's a trinity there.
Yes.
There's a trinity. There's God the Father there. There's God the Son.
Yes.
And then the Holy Spirit is the womb.
Yes. And then now what happens that after that, now this woman becomes the treasure to the world, treasure to the universe. Treasure in a sense that she has been given this responsibility, this ownership, this valueship that you are going to be capable to carry this child forward.
Wow.
Now, when that happens traditionally, when the woman continues to be pregnant and all that, there's certain stages that a woman goes through. There's first trial, second trial, and whatever until they give birth. So what's more critical is that when a woman goes through those processes, there's issues of hormone changes. As abantu abadala ogogo bethu will then be able to guide and support that to say, when you're now at this stage, you need to start drinking certain herbs to make sure that it gives the balance to the womb. And if ever there's issues that you feel that you're feeling pains there, as a woman, that's when now other things which we're going to talk later as to how can you take care of yourself. Okay. So what's important is to understand that when you're carrying a child, you're not just carrying a thing. You're carrying and life, you're carrying a generation that is going to be the next generation and the next generation.
Wow.
And also to bear in mind that what you're carrying also is not just a thing that is just going to just live and that's it. You're going to take responsibility for that life.
Take me through, why do African women always carry these cloths around their waist? You always find all mature women, etc. Young girls can run around with their stomachs out, but immediately you become inkosikazi or umfazi. I know in Zambia, for example, in Zimbabwe, they call it Chitenge, they call it Zambia. You go further up north, all senior women, you always find them with that big cloth. In Nigeria, all the women have this big cloth they always put around their womb. What is the significance of that?
Right. I'm going to now try, I will just to divide a bit, but as part of the discussion, there's, on the spiritual aspect, we've got this spirit, we call it Ndawo, the spirit of Umdawo. That spirit is a spirit that sits mostly in our sacral chakras, both for male and female, but it dominates more on the women's side. And also now, this Ndawo spirit is the one that carries the power, the wealth, the sexual, the prosperity and everything within there. Now, bearing in mind that the woman is the one that brings the balance, brings the glue to the family. So this area needs to always to be protected and kept warm and kept safe from any other spiritual harms around it. So it shows that now when we have to put that belt around us, we're protecting ourselves and also we're protecting the home. Now, when you're married as a woman, when they're giving you instructions how to take care of the house, it's another symbolization to say you must be able to cover
the womb.
Not only the womb, you cover your home.
The home.
you have to protect your home. Whatever that happens outside.
Something. We'll be back right after the break. We are learning why our women must cover their middle part and what happens there. It is the door through which we all come into existence, and for that reason it must be protected. We'll be back right after the break. Don't go away on your show, Sankofa.
Experience the extraordinary.
Feeling is there that you're doing something special.
Have you lost it? Move! Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
Challenge your ordinary.
Why don't you start a dance class?
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
From rural to urban, we bring you local and international sport.
From Cape to Cairo, from Nairobi to Kinshasa.
As we stand out amongst the rest.
And we are here to inspire you.
From the Horn of Africa to the Equator's indigenous people.
Galaxy Universal Network. Ngelikisisa ditaba tse felletseng. Abapenyi bezindaba nezintatheli ezingesabilutho. Bila woga, upendeleo, hatuogopi chochote.
Channel 500 on StarSat. This is Galaxy Universal Network.
Women are the official gate through which we all come into this existence. And there's no one amongst us who fell from the sky or fell from the clouds. We all come out, we all come into this world through our mothers and through our women. They multiply and generations have been born. For that reason, we just want to explore a little bit further. Now that the woman is pregnant, she has carried full term, she delivers a child. What happens during delivery, particularly in terms of looking at the mother's health and the changes that happen in terms of her entire body, and how traditionally you would work around restoring her body back to its normal state, because now she's coming from one world of unions and spirit. Now she has given birth, and after delivery, maybe take us through the delivery, and after that I'm very interested to know how do modern women, and what can modern women learn from ancient methods in terms of restoring their bodies to full function.
Okay. A woman now has given birth. I would just have to go back a bit. Even before she gives birth, there's some preparations that need to happen. And to prepare for the receiving the welcoming of the new life. And also during that phase, that's where there's so much support that is needed. Now traditionally you find that we have what they call them now midwives. And this way those women will prepare, and certain sometimes you find that certain herbs have to be burnt and certain herbs have to be around, so that when we receive the child, we receive the child in a manner, in a warm space. The room has to be a certain temperature, you know, and all that. The atmosphere has to be cleared out, you know, so that when the child comes in, she or she is welcomed very well to the world. And now that's when the midwives will then women who are specialists, they'll be able to receive the child and do the necessities that whereby the child now comes out, there's some certain things, fluids that have to be taken out and also be covered to be kept warm. Now, going back to the point of us covering here, the child, that's why we cover the child, because this area was warm. And has to be kept warm. And that's why it's critical for the child to be kept warm, because that also necessitates the growth and the transition
from one warmth to
another warmth. So the child now is going to be warm and be kept properly on the side. And there's certain things whereby the child comes out and is to be bonded with the mother. That is all those traditional things that we need to obey and continue. So that's why when I just to divert a bit, when we're talking of the other things that have happened due to say technology or due to complications that we find ourselves in. Some of us women, we no longer have that opportunity whereby the child would just be, you just have a cesarean, you know, and then now that whole proper process of now having to go through the stretching of taking out the source, you know, it doesn't necessarily happen as much.
It's but easy, just put something on the epidural,
and then that's it.
And we drag the child out.
To understand. But now the thing is the understanding that even though you have been cut, you know, we didn't go through the actual pushing and everything, there's childbirth. You're still affected. Your womb is still affected in one way or the other. So that is now, it's critical to understand that when you're giving birth, it's just not just a process that you can say, no, because I've got a cesarean, so I'm not going to have complications. And when you have given birth naturally, that's now I'm going to take you through to say what happens after.
Go for it. Today I'm a student. I'm a student, and Wes, I'm a man. So
okay.
What you are saying, I will never experience it. No, even if I pray and fast, I will never wake up as a woman.
Definitely. So I just want to step back a bit, that it's critical that when a woman is pregnant, emotionally, there has to be a balance. There's certain ways and certain songs that the woman has to, certain songs, certain meditations, certain engagements and discussions that a woman, when she's pregnant, during that whole phase, even her space, even her aura, you know, it has to be balanced, because when you're giving birth to the child, that child absorbs
all that energy,
all that negativity, all that positivity, all the things she absorbs, or he absorbs it. And then when you bearing in mind that you'll be building a next generation. So now the child has been born, she's out. Now what happens to you?
What happens to you now? That's where I want us to move to. And I can't wait. My feet are itching, because I want us to move to this yoni thing, and its warmers and other things, and how to keep the stove warm. Yes, ukuva abantu bathi hey unkosikazi wami uyabanda ndisingazi yini ebandayo ngempela, you know.
Why now that's a very sensitive area that we have to discuss, and I'm going to allow it.
Yeah.
And it's something that we women, we have to be open about it. It's not a secret. That as a woman, you need to take care of yourself. You need to understand the value of your temple, because that area is your temple, is your key temple, is where everything that you are sits and projects. If that part is not taken care of, the whole of you, it won't be okay.
Wow.
Now you've given birth. The child is there.
Yes, it's expansions, contractions.
You have there's expansion, there's tearing, there's all that. So back then in the days, they will use certain ways of stitching.
So we used to stitch.
The stitching used to be there, because even when you're giving birth, there will be ways of how you have to be cut. And that's where the midwives come in. They'll be able to assist that. And then now the stitching. Now, that's when, remember I said about the herbs that have to be there and all that, because let alone the cleaning. After everyone has been cleaned and all that, the area has been cleaned, you yourself as a woman now we need to take care of you. There's certain herbs that you need to use to be able now to bring back. First of all, you need to cleanse, because remember, this human being that was lying on your womb, they are an individual, they're a spirit on its own. So now you need to try to work on cleansing yourself, cleansing your womb. You cleanse the womb using certain herbs. There's herbs that you have to drink to be able to cleanse your blood. There's herbs that you have to use to steam.
To steam?
You have to steam that area.
The steam into the womb.
Now, the steaming is just not only about steaming because you steam. You're restoring the energies. You're restoring the walls. You're restoring your body. You're restoring your aura as you bring it back. So that's why even when you have to use certain herbs, those herbs have to align with the restoration of your womanhood as a woman. You steam with those certain herbs. There's certain periods that you have to steam with. The certain periods meaning to say, when you just gave birth, you're bathing with certain, they tell you that you need to soak yourself and it's like soaking.
I know it's a bit uncomfortable.
Now I will talk about it. It's soaking. You soak yourself in certain herbs. Others, there's some traditional words that one may use, in terms of soaking. Then because it has to help with the cleansing, taking out the trauma. Because another thing is when you were giving birth, we got traumatized because first. It's so traumatic because there's so much that you have to lose yourself, you have to let go, so that trauma it gets stored there. So now when you have to steam, you heal that area, you calm it down, you bring back the energy, you balance yourself. So you have to do the steaming. The yoni steam, they call it yoni. The reason it's yoni because it's a sacred area. It's just not that area that you can take for granted. You have to use the steaming herbs. You cleanse yourself. You purify that area.
Why I'm saying that is because modern women, they have all these douches that they're using. They buy all these things and then.
Did you hear me talking about?
No. I want us to put it into context because they might be sitting around, some of them watching and say, "Well, I'm not affected." Yeah. But what you are talking about is exactly what the Europeans have now told them, and some of these women shooting chemicals that kill all the bacteria, and they think that they are clean. But actually they've actually destroyed their walls and other things.
Destroying the walls. The douching and the douching and using certain tablets and all that. Remember, there has to be a balance of the pH. There's a certain pH that has to be balanced. And also that now, if you're going to use this against the pH most of the time, and it also is not advisable to be putting things in your yoni, because the yoni is, I'm saying that it's a very sensitive area. It's sacred and it's sensitive. Now you're putting those things, chemicals, different chemicals that are not really aligning with your pH. Now you find that at the end of the day, you'll be experiencing to be having discharges, candidas, scratches, all those,
and odors,
yes, different odors.
Yeah.
To understand.
You pass by some women and say, "Hey, right? There is a smell you cannot understand."
Yes. So now it's very critical that you understand that it depends. That's why I'm saying it depends on the types of herbs that you use. Depends also on the problem that is there to understand. So now when you have to now use these certain herbs, let's first understand what is the problem. And also on top of everything, there is an issue of using contraceptives. They also play a role there because now they have to control your hormonal your hormones and your periods. Others, once they start using contraceptives, they no longer go into their normal periods. Others, it's even worse because now remember these contraceptives, these things that we're putting out, the loops, you name it. We put all those things in all that we put them in our bodies. They get to affect the hormonal balance of the body. Others, you find that if the other issue of getting to menopause stage quicker than you're supposed to. So traditionally, our way back, our forefathers and our mothers, they had a way of balancing this using the herbs that we get from the backyard of the garden. They would guide it, starting from the teenagehood, when you grow as a woman, as a teenager, to take care of yourself. Yoni steaming is very, I would say, is our best method that doesn't have any side effects.
Let's break it down. What are some of the basic advantages of steamer? And what does it, because already when you are steaming, the entire sacred space, our women are suffering from fibroids, some are suffering from piles, and plus the candidas and other bacteria on the front side. So the entire temple is almost like in one way or the other, it is a critical area of women's health. What are some of the critical advantages of a yoni sit and a yoni steamer?
Right. Basing the fact that, as I mentioned, that area is where the Tao spirit sits. That area, it's where the wealth of a woman sits, or the prosperity of a woman sits. Now, there's a connection between this part and the upper part, which is the thinking capacity. So when, for example, when a woman is going through her periods, others will tell her, oh, she's shouting too much, or she's PMSing on all that. There's so many things that happen because this is connected. Do you understand? So now, when we have to, when we're saying that now we are doing a yoni steaming, we're trying to bring the balance here, because that's where everything is holding. When that part is sorted, creativity comes out. So now, for example, when somebody has been raped, that is trauma. That is instigated there. Somebody has given birth. That is also another trauma. Then you also find that now with those things, the energy wants to somehow come out somewhere. It doesn't have a place to come out, and then it will go and get stored somewhere within your sacral area. Then you find yourself to having fibroids. Then you end up having to have cysts. You see, to understand what I've just mentioned, because the imbalance of energies, there's some trauma that has happened, emotional abuse, psychological abuse within the family, within your life, social life. You store it somewhere. And you find that now the most sensitive area that is easy to absorb, it's within this space. You have your fibroids, you have your cysts, you have issues, complications, imbalance of your periods. You don't know what's happening, whether you're coming or going. Remember now when I just mentioned that you as a woman, you are this temple that is sacred. Now when you're doing the yoni steaming, we're trying to balance that energy. We're trying to heal those traumas that have happened. And also the benefits is that it creates the balance with the. Secondly, it helps, the yoni herbs that helps with melting those. And again, for women who can't give birth, or they feel that they think they cannot give birth, it also helps to bring that hormonal balance. Do you understand?
Wow. So I hope you guys are hearing here. The yoni steam is actually good for issues like prevention towards cervical cancer, issues of cysts, issues of fibroids, issues of piles, and above all, actually, let's take it lighter so that doesn't become too heavy. Let's just take it lighter. The difference between a warm yoni and a cold yoni.
Now, I want to just proceed on that one. So another balance, I would say not balance per se, but it's a benefit. We as women, as I mentioned, we store a lot of emotions, such that when you have to get to the dance with your partner, it's either you become too wet or you become too dry, because there's some emotions that are not balanced. So with the yoni steaming, based on the problem, as I mentioned earlier on, it helps to balance that, because at the end of the day, you also have to feel good and you have to enjoy the dew with your partner. So now, if the balance is not there, you will feel now you're gonna just do it because you want to make the person happy, but not realizing that you're now already storing some trauma.
Some other tension again, because you are not happy.
You're already creating the trauma within you. Do you understand?
Wow.
And now also what's important and also what is critical is that when you're doing the yoni steaming, you need to understand that you're doing self-love. You're loving yourself. You're appreciating yourself. It's very interesting. Some women, I would hear stories, interesting stories. Some women don't even take time to take a mirror and look at themselves
and
look at what is it that is down there.
They don't know what is there.
To understand, they're like, okay.
They walk with this lady and they don't know. They don't want to look at it.
Exactly.
They say there's a problem.
That era, you have to love her. It's her. You even give it a name, and say, okay, we'll give
Patricia.
To understand. You call her Patricia, or you call to understand that way.
Have a relationship.
Have a relationship with her. Because sometimes you find that she's not happy, and she doesn't want to do anything, and you want to do something. Listen to her. Because she communicates. She's like your ground source of everything. You need to listen to her. When she complains, listen to her. When she's feeling other smelly and everything, take care of her. And how do you then do that? Don't go around with, the Western culture has really taken us astray in a sense that they want to make things easy for us. So-called easy. Meanwhile, causing us problems.
We are still going to be here to chew some other bones around this issue of the steaming and warming. I heard something here, give her a name and have a relationship with her. We are sitting here today with Gogo Majola and Dr. Mvoko, who is taking us through women's health on your program Sankofa. We'll be back just after the break.
Experience the extraordinary.
I like you, girl, in particular.
Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for giving us permission to invade your private spaces where we are discussing with you a very critical topic tonight in relation to women's health and how best our women can look after themselves. And I've been giggling away here on some of your comments that you have been writing to us. Some are saying we must use Himalayan salts. Some are saying, I'm 44 years now, I've never seen a yoni steamer, and where can it be found? Some are saying use Himalayan salt, how Ntatema Ponga. People are happy. No, there's quite a mixed amount of responses, but others are saying this subject we are talking about is very important. It's very important. So let's go over. We've got a few moments left. Take us through some bits and pieces. And I deliberately left the placenta issue story on the side.
Yes.
I think that's for another day. Where we can actually maybe delve into what is it with these placentas and what our old people used to use vis-a-vis. But for today, I want us just to celebrate our women in terms of their health. And I think you've taken us quite a bit in terms of the yoni steamers and the herbs. And there's a joke that I had the other day, and I never stopped laughing. This guy walks into the drawer, into the fridge, finds this drink, and he drinks it. Then all of a sudden he goes back to the bedroom, and he can't open his mouth. Woman, what is this that you have drinking? The woman says, no, that's my yoni shrinker. No, but and he had drunk the muti, and everything was now shrinking. Yeah. So take us through a bit of the techniques. You have all women are listening to you in the world there. There are various health issues. And for whoever are listening around the world, if you have some questions that you want to throw in quickly on the program, the doctor is here with us to be asking her some traditional questions. I'll try and read from the Facebook page here. You can throw in some few questions, and she's here with us. And please don't lose that opportunity. I'll give you an opportunity maybe to pick 2-3 questions from our viewers out there. But take us through some women in this whole period. Some women have one child, and they lose shape, their bodies go to hell. And that another problem again, our old women again, I remember, because I grew up in the village, when a woman has given birth, my grandmother would take this piece of cloth and tie that woman uncomfortably so. Like thing, you tie the tummy. What was that thing all about?
Remembering that we have to try and put everything back together. And also the fact that our mothers had a certain time, how long you have to be tied, because you're trying to restore things, you know. So it's not a matter of you have to put it for as long as 3-5 months or so that. So they'll do it to retain, put everything together, hold it so that you can be able to have yourself back, you know, because when you're just giving birth, it's just loose. You know, you're trying to.
So is it possible, just a minute, I'm asking as a man, I hope I will not be held to be reckless. Is it possible that some of our women who now grow these stomachs, after one child, they are continuously pregnant. The stomach now sits on their lap. What could be the main cause of that body now just remaining that? Could it be possible that maybe because they don't believe in the traditional way of tying things back, or what happens there?
What happens due to the fact most of women now, as I mentioned, based on the Western way of giving birth, is that we experience the cesarean. So cesarean makes it very difficult to tie because you get to be stitched there. Then it becomes, and it's painful.
Then you cannot put something on
You
top
cannot
of
put something on top.
Wow.
Then it became so painful. So that's why they find that the majority of women, they will just want to let go and want to try to heal in a different
under
way.
natural environments.
Under natural environments.
Give us some advice, like Gogo. Give us an advice and make it as a statement and say, as Gogo Majola, I recommend that after this, let me hear you make a statement to the young women out there who maybe don't have a grandmother, maybe they don't have an auntie.
Yes.
You have more than 65 million people listening to you out there. Your message might just find someone who can benefit from it. What would be your advice to a young woman out there who is going to deliver naturally? What is your advice? What must she do with herself to restore her body back to full function?
What I can advise that after you've given birth, you have to use, I would say, when I say certain herbs, traditional herbs. If you don't have a go-go that you can go to, there are people like us that you can consult that will be able to guide you. Then you have to use those herbs to cleanse your womb first, and then after that you purify it, then you heal it. And then at the same time...
Cleanse it?
Yes.
Purify it?
Yes.
And then heal it?
Yes.
I'm listening.
And then after that, you then also have to get certain herbs that you're going to drink. I hear people are talking about Himalayan salts. It has to be specifically sea salt or Himalayan, not table salt.
Not table salt.
No. You have to use that, and if there's something that you can get off the shelf, can use also lemon. You know, the lemon also helps with cooling. You know, and another thing that just came now that just said you can also use imbepo. If you can get imbepo, because it will also help to calm and also mint. You get also mint. Yes, you can use mint. Nayo ukwazi ukuthi incede. And then the other ones would be things like your indolwane.
So basically maybe you take a dish of water.
Now,
you take a dish of water. You just take us through the process, high level.
Now, you don't have somebody who can guide you. You can then take a dish of water. Then once you've gotten those herbs, then take a dish of water, and then you put the herbs. You boil the water, and then you put the hot water that has boiled. Then allow it to cool off a bit.
Slightly.
So what I always recommend is that the temperature has to be comfortable to you.
Yes. Don't cook it, yeah?
Don't cook it. No.
Steam don't burn her.
So now if you're in the rural areas, you know, you can either find a bucket that you can use, and then you can just then sit on top of the bucket and cover yourself that you steam that area, you know, properly. And then in most of the urban areas, now if you get that bowl, then you can put it on the toilet seat, and then you can be able to sit comfortably, you know. And then there's there's a stool that we're working on.
Okay. Wow.
You know,
can I hear more about that?
Yes,
you are working on a stool.
A yoni stool.
Wow.
That would make it easier. That
ladies and gentlemen, you want to take this number. You want to take this number. We are moving now into putting some commercial value on our knowledge. So you are working on a stool
Yes.
Then you supply the herbs.
Then supply the herbs. Then you can be able to because it's going to be a stool. Then that will have a bucket. Then you can just put then you sit comfortably.
Wow.
You know.
Every man who is out there, stop buying your women rings and all these beautiful things, nice as they are. Here is a gift. I wish this corona thing can just move away. Here is a gift that every man must buy for his woman and every woman must buy for herself. It's called a yoni steam. It is central to the African health system. Yes. So you take the ball, put the herbs, and then take some water, put it in there, make sure that the temperature is fine. Sit there and just warm yourself. Cover yourself. How long is that process?
You can. It depends from one person to the other, but at least maximum should be between 15 minutes to 20 minutes or to 30. It depends on you. Depends. So others, they feel that they want the steam to always be coming up.
Yes.
Then you can just put some more. You have to please be careful on this. Don't put a stove.
Yeah.
That is gonna burn yourself.
You're gonna cook you.
Just that day and that sort out. Now Now there's one element that I want to speak about.
Yeah.
The olden way of doing also, which was done back then, the use of stones. We call them yoni eggs.
Yoni eggs.
So while you're doing the steaming and all that, use the yoni herbs. They help to exercise, the muscles.
Okay.
So as I was mentioning, that from somebody who's just given birth doesn't have the guidance, you do the yoni steaming. At the same time, you have to you do the exercises. So due to the busyness, some people they don't know what kind of exercise that they use that they have to do, then the eggs help with that to help to bring.
This is getting more technical now.
So there's different sizes.
So you take stones and
there's certain stones that we use. They're your rose quartz, your clear quartzes. We call them yoni eggs.
Okay.
So you use those eggs. The others are big, there's middle, and then small. So when you use those eggs, they help to heal the area at the same time, purify at the same time, do the same process of contracting. Then it contracts and then it contracts and then it helps, and you see that now next time when you try to put the big one, it can no longer fit. Then you do the middle one, then it fits and then it contracts and then it helps. Then put the small one, because then now you're back to yourself again.
Wow.
So there is the yoni steaming.
So you can actually measure to see the contraction and restoring your health.
Yes, restoring your health. So there's an area of doing the yoni steaming using those herbs, and then now there's also this element of using the eggs, the stones.
Wow.
Now, bearing in mind that these stones...
And all these things are traditional. This is indigenous.
Indigenous. It's not Western. It's indigenous. So now coming to the tightness issue, most women, they want to say, oh, I feel tight and all that. I want to be tight for my partner. I would advise, please don't stick anything in your vagina. Don't stick anything to your sacral area that is not aligning with healing that area. When you take all these herbs that you find in the shops and they tell you this is gonna make you tight and whatever, you're damaging your future in terms of that area. You're gonna find yourself to experience cancer at the end of the day, because those herbs on whatever they come around with other things also over and above. As Ukoko, I've come across many people that you find that when we look into you, we find when I do in the consultation, then I'll discover that, you know what, there's some things that you've put inside of you, something is sitting there, some bad spirit, some bad energy that is sitting in your sacral chakra. And when I then check further, I will discover that you have used things that you put down there. Now, when they come, they were given to you as a powder, or they're given to you as an oil, amafuta. You put it there, and then when it comes, and then when it's inside of you, then it manifests to something else.
Totally.
Now, find yourself that you can't have kids. Now you're coming to me, I have to sort you out that you can't have kids. Now, but first we need to take out that thing.
Work on this thing.
Let's take that thing spiritually.
Someone just dropped a question quickly. I know, Minister, away. Traditional methods of contraception.
Okay.
Yes. The question, someone just asked a question. In the olden days, how did we used to do contraception?
In the olden days, based on my own knowledge, it's a two-way thing. There's certain beads that were used back in the days. You know, that now, in our days, you no longer, most of us, when you have to put beads on your waist, then it becomes something else.
Something else. Everyone freaks out.
Freaks out.
What's it? What's it now?
So those certain beads.
Beads? Like beads like?
They're beads like.
Yes.
You know, we call them waist beads.
Waist beads.
Those beads had different colors and significances to say now when you're in that particular color, it means you're ovulating. When in this particular color, it means you're safe to engage. When in that part and down, you're within your periods. They would use those. And now also linking. Remember that that's why the cycle is 28 days and 21 to 28 days because it's linked with the moon. So now back in the days you find that they'll be linking those beads will be linked to the moon, the movement of the moon. When there's now full moon, then
serious cosmology.
Do you understand? Yes, there's a lot of cosmology of that. So there's the full moon cycle. Now then the father will know, the parent or the couple will know that, okay, fine, when is now this time, now my beads, and now the moon is full, now it's cutting, now it means now this is the time. Now it's no longer the time, then they can, do you understand? So they will be going through, they will be doing
it was a conversation, husband and wife.
Conversation.
But I like something on what you're saying. But the woman was in charge of her health.
Yes.
Basically, she knew when to and when not to.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why that they say that women are the ones who decide when to have a child. They decide because they understand.
There are modern girls, shame. Oops.
Yes, I didn't know how
just
it
like
happened.
that. Oops.
No.
You know. Oh wow.
And that's another thing that's interesting. I'll share with you. I got within when I was doing my research, and it's very interesting that there's this element of whereby a man, and back in the days, they were taught how to control the sperm.
Come on.
Yes.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's see what happens.
So I'm still answering that aspect of contraception.
Yes. The woman will do the beads, but the man also was taught.
At the same time, that there's another way whereby you find that the woman would then maybe avoid the ubaba, you know, for that period during those times and all that. And now also the man also had a role whereby he has to control his sperms, not to come even when they're doing the do.
Wow.
That's another topic for another day where I can. But it's an interesting thing that I got to grasp it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. Wow. You know, yes. So then we find that
many of our men right now are suffering from premature ejaculation.
Bearing in mind that bearing in mind that remember back in the days when they say people when you have to social when they're going to fight, you don't have to engage with the woman because everything has to be stored in the energy. You know, they're always strong and healthy. So that concept also plays in a role whereby when you are a man, you don't not always just
It's not always
throwing your thing everywhere. You know, you have to be able to retain it, even when you're with your partner as a part of contraception. Then we know now, Daddy, now I'm ready. We can try again. You know, then she knows that when he's with you now, she's prepared, and you're also prepared. Then you can release.
Wow.
To understand. Wow. So there's also that aspect.
I like that.
So now
I like that conversation.
Now, now
I like that.
That's why I'm saying that back in the days, there's so many variety of ways of contraception that were used. And now in our days, another thing that also I want to bring in the concept of food.
Food.
The food that we eat that promotes and upgrades the hormones or degrades the hormones. So going back in the days, remember as a girl, you don't have to eat certain foods like the dairy products and whatever.
Eggs. I grew up hearing young girls don't eat eggs. Now these days, we have 6 eggs a week. And the girl, by the time she's 7, 8 years old, she's already started going on her periods.
And all that, yes. So it was very critical back in the days that when you are breastfeeding, you don't have to eat certain food. When you are a woman that is not yet married, you guided not to eat certain foods because those foods will make you more fertile and now wanting to engage. And then when you are married, and then it's like, fine, you can eat these foods, but on certain times and certain months.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, I like that. You guys, man, it looks like we lost quite a bit of information here. Can you hear what's happening here? Dieting issues, contraception issues, menstrual issues, men's health issues. I mean, look at the wealth of information that we just throw away because we are so infatuated with some Western technologies and destroying our own selves. Give us your final remarks before I pass my comment. Give us your final remarks. You are talking to lots of our mothers out there. You're talking to our sisters out there. What will be your word of counsel over and above recommending the Yonis team? Just give us some nice encouraging words. It's how best can a woman look after her health and keep her stove as warm as possible and keeping the central place of the home functional.
What I would like to say is that as women, let's be cognizant and be very aware of the sacral area. This area is very critical. It's important. Take care of it, nurture it, and ensure that whatever that you have to know it. As I mentioned, give it a name, love it, and moreover, don't just throw yourself everywhere, because you bear in mind that this is your temple, and also when you open yourself to every other person that has to come in, bear in mind that you've opened yourself to many spirits that you're going to put there and store there. Don't cry later when you find yourself that you cannot have kids on time, you cannot your issues with your menstruation, because at the end of the day, you find yourself that you have opened up yourself to various people that will just be throwing their things and leaving it out there. So it's critical to value this area. And make sure that you understand who comes in and for what purpose.
And who goes out.
And who goes out.
Who comes in and who goes out.
Yes.
Drop the mic right there. Ladies and gentlemen, on your program, Sankofa here. We don't want, I know some people are looking at me and saying, well, Sankofa, it looks like this is a traditional corner. Because you have 150,000 programs there where you have white doctors, mainstream doctors who are telling you lots of pharmacology. And so if you are bored, go there. You will find the other content. But here we are giving you the authentic, the story of Africa that has not yet been told. And because we are Africans, and because I'm an African myself, I will not tolerate to be having our cultures being undermined because people are scared. We bring you real people. We bring you real practitioners. We bring you the professionals who bring the information to you raw as it is. We are not saying anything. Know the information. What you do with it, it's at your own disposal. But it's our responsibility here on Sankofa to make sure that every home is informed properly. And I can't wait. Immediately when that yoni chair is up, bring me one. I have 4 girls in my house. I think I need to buy one for my wife. That's your gift. With Mother's Day, I say, go back and sit on the yoni. Yes, it's your birthday. You can sit there on the yoni. By the time I'm coming home, I have 2 hours to go. Please, warm up the pots. We are on our way coming home with your host Maponga Jane. Thank you very much, Gogo Majola, for coming through to us. We put your number on the side if people want to get in touch with you and etc. Where do they find you on your social media spaces?
They can find me on obviously on my cell phone number. They can send me a WhatsApp, and then also my Instagram and my what you call Facebook. It's Fly Zone. Fly Zone Media Group.
Fly Zone Media Group.
Yes.
We'll try and fly it so that people can look for you. I think there is a lot people want to get in touch with you. Others already asking me here, where do we find this? Where do we find this? From your host and your host here, Maponga J, Vuzijena Chigaramboko, Garamashamba Huda. Chirana vanjibo khiro wana makumbo mwana mwesende weshanu vanachigara mabwe matanda novora chigwe chitedza chinokwigwa vana manga vari pedo vanotamba nacho. Wiramiti yasose until we see you again. I'm checking out. Good night to all of you.